Hello and welcome back to the channel, and today you find me in another castle. This is Midhurst Castle in Midhurst, and this castle has been, the outlines of this have been kept, but it's been long since destroyed. This area here used to be the tower, and probably before all of these trees grew up it would have had quite a dominating view looking south at the downs. And then this section here is the chapel, of which this area is now named. This is St Anne's Chapel, St Anne being the grandmother of Jesus. And then over in this section here we have got the hall, so this would be where people would have eaten their food, and this odd shape here was the kitchen, and around that there is a curtain wall. So what we're going to do, I'll just head over to this information board so you can see what this looks like from above. So I've just showed you from above the kitchen, the hall, St Anne's Chapel and the tower, and then this big curtain wall. A bit of history showing there, showing a Norman soldier from the Bayeux tapestry. And it's thought that this castle was erected shortly after the invasion of 1066 by the Normans. And it says here that the Normans were considered to be Vikings that had invaded from Denmark and Norway into northern France, and then they had gone on to conquer France and then eventually come back into England, where we are now. Another information board just over there, we'll go and head over to that. So we can see we're not too far away from the town of Midhurst here. And I guess the castle would have been built, and then you'd have to build the town around the castle to support it. And over here we can see the curtain wall again, and there's a little notice board which we'll go and have a look at. So there's a great picture of what the castle used to look like. This being the main entrance right next to the tower, the Chapel of St Anne, the Great Hall, the kitchen, and possibly these would have been stables. And information on the board: the Normans were Vikings who settled in northern France. They founded the Duchy of Normandy and sent expeditions to conquest and colonise southern Italy and Sicily, England, Wales, Scotland and Ireland. They were originally pagan barbarian pirates from Denmark, Norway and Iceland, who made destructive plundering raids on Europe coastal settlements in the 8th century. They gained a permanent foothold in the Frankish French soil in 900 AD and extended their rule westward to eventually form the Duchy of Normandy. The Normans' capacity for imitation and adaptation meant they absorbed much of the people that they conquered and quickly moved from pagan destroyers to Christians speaking French within a couple of hundred years. England at the time of the northern invasion was the most efficient country in Europe for collecting taxes. This added to its attraction to the conquerors. The art of building castles was not a Norman invention, but the Normans became masters in the use of this simple yet enormously effective motte and bailey, such as Midhurst Castle. So, history on the castle. The wooden motte and bailey was constructed on St Anne's Hill soon after the Norman conquest of 1066. It was replaced by a stone castle around 1160, and this helped the Normans to secure the position in Sussex and allowed control of the key transport route of the River Rother, which is located just over there, and we'll pop down to that in a little bit. The stone castle was granted to Frank de Bohun in 1185 by Richard I, and the chapel of St Anne was an important building within the complex. The castle was abandoned around 1280, and a new residence was built in the plain below, which in Tudor times became Cowdray House, which you can still see today just over there. After 1284, most of the castle was dismantled by Anthony Beck, Bishop of Durham, who still owned the estate at the time, and the chapel in the former castle was still functioning in 1367, described as standing in a place called Court Green, the old courtyard of the castle. Clearly the townsfolk of Midhurst had continued to use the chapel after the demise of the castle. However, shortly after this date the chapel was abandoned and the parish church became the main centre of worship in Midhurst. So, here we can see the ramparts of the castle and the pathway around it. Very lush and green this time of year. And this is the old staircase down to the River Rother, which we can see streaming down below. So this would be one of the reasons why the castle would have been put here. So just like at Bramber, when we went to Bramber Castle, Bramber Castle was built right next to the River Arun to guard that and for trade purposes. Back in the olden days, the only way to get heavy bits around was by a boat. Just had to stop and show you that tree. Look at the size of that tree, absolutely enormous. God knows how long that's been standing there for. Here we go. I mean, this is likely to be the wharf that they would have used to load and unload goods. Over here we've got the flat plains, and just over through that gate is the Tudor mansion that they built after Midhurst Castle. So here we can see St Mary's Hill from the path next to the River Rother. It's completely obscured by trees. You wouldn't be able to tell that there used to be a castle sat right on top of that hill. So the new house is not far from the castle. Quite a spectacular bridge built over the River Rother here. You can tell at this point that this river was never, or was no longer being used for heavy trade, because these arches here wouldn't take any really big boats, and there's no way of lifting that. Here's the Tudor house, Cowdray House. Yeah, definitely more of a house than a castle. No longer access the grounds for the reasons that are obvious, is that the house is falling down, so it wouldn't be safe for people to get in there. So this house was visited by King Henry VIII and Elizabeth I, and quite famously Guy Fawkes used to visit here. And maybe it's just a coincidence, but the house mysteriously burnt down afterwards. Yeah, maybe just a coincidence. Yeah, what is remaining of it, it's quite spectacular. And you can imagine in its heyday, this would be an amazing place to come. It was I think 1793 that the fire happened, and it's been left to decay ever since. So I'm going to head back to the car. Hope you've enjoyed this short video on Cowdray House and Midhurst Castle. Quite near is Midhurst Castle, just over there, and way back to the car is down this lovely straight footpath. So if you've made it to this point in the video, if you could hit the like and subscribe button, it will help me to make more content just like this.